Hello and welcome to Acoustic Review. My name is Ben Morgan Brown and today I'm looking at the updated Felix2 preamp from Grace Design. The Felix2 is a 2-channel preamp with channel 1 having both instrument and XLR inputs and channel 2 having a single instrument input. 48 volts phantom power can be applied to channel 1's XLR input and 12 volts mic power can be applied to channel 2. Multiple input impedances can be selected for both channels, and the use of a TRS cable with channel 2 can allow you to split a stereo signal to each channel independently. Both channels have gain, switchable high-pass filter or notch, bass, fully parametric EQ and treble controls, and the channels can be blended for a dual source system or kept separate for individual instruments. There are 2 transformer isolated DI outputs which can output either the mix or individual channels, and a stereo amplifier out can also carry either the mix or the output from channel 2. The Felix2 has dual stereo effects loops, a dedicated tuner out, a boot that can be applied globally or to channel 2 only, a variable phase control for channel 2, switchable bass, mid and treble frequencies, a mute switch, a headphone output, and it's built in the USA with an RRP of £1,125. Before we get into the meat of the review, I think I should point out that I do personally own a previous generation Felix, which I have been gigging with for 4 years. I purchased that preamp with my own money, and Grace Design have not sponsored or supported me or Acoustic Review, with the exception of providing this preamp on loan for review. For the purpose of this video, I'm using my Martin OM28V, which is fitted with a K&K Pure Mini pickup and an internal DPA 4061 microphone wired to a stereo jack. I'm using the Felix2 to power the DPA mic and sending the K&K to channel 2 and the DPA to channel 1 via a stereo cable. The first recorded sound you will hear is a 50-50 split between the 2 signals, and then I will switch to the K&K pickup only whilst another member of the team adjusts the channel 2 controls in real time as I play. So let's have another listen now, and then please join me afterwards for my thoughts. Having owned a first generation Felix, there were few surprises when I took the Felix 2 from its substantial shipping box. The addition of the 2 protection rails and the lower profile knobs should protect settings from stray cables, but also the LEDs seem brighter and clearer, and channel 1 and 2 now have different coloured LEDs, which makes the AB setting more obvious. The unit itself is very well built with a robust and roadworthy feel. My own Felix has been carted around in a backpack to all kinds of gigs and has survived everything, so I have no doubt that Felix 2 would be just as reliable. The amount of controls, inputs, outputs, switches, DIP switches and internal jumpers does make this preamp seem a little daunting at first, and I would highly recommend a detailed read of the manual in order to fully understand all of your options. But the standard EQ controls are simple to use, with the knobs having very definite centre indents and very clear markings. Even without adjusting the EQ, the Felix 2 took my signal and seemed to make it sound more open. The preamps themselves are very clean and linear, so there's no character being added, but it's obvious that the clarity of the signal path instantly improved with the Felix 2 in the mix. The option to adjust input impedance allowed me to choose the preferred 1M setting for my K&K, and there are other options for those with active systems. There are multiple ways to set up Felix 2 in order to dial in your exact needs, including selecting between a notch filter or high pass filter and adjusting the frequency points of the EQ section. I won't go into all of the details, but suffice to say you should be able to dial in any combination of pickups or instruments to your satisfaction. The variable phase control will be of particular interest to musicians combining multiple sources on one instrument, as it allows you to truly refine the phase relationship between these sources. As I'm running a pickup and a microphone together on my guitars, I was keen to investigate this control, which isn't active from the factory, so I popped the Felix 2 open and moved the internal jumper to activate it. Whilst I'm on that point, there are numerous features of the Felix 2 that need to be activated via internal jumpers, how the effects loops work, the range of the EQ controls and more, and although it can seem daunting to open up a unit and start moving around, there are very clear instructions in the manual on how to do it. But back to the variable phase control. With my setup, I found this made a subtle but noticeable difference to the solidity of the tone. Although it's a simple control to use, understanding exactly what it's doing might not be intuitive to all players. I actually went to the trouble of recording my individual sources separately into a DAW and finding out the phase difference between them before using the variable phase control to adjust it, but you can set this control by ear. Or of course, you can leave it for the nerds like me if you're happy with your sound already. The addition of dual stereo effects loops allows you to add different effects chains to individual instruments or pickups. For example, you might want to add some reverb, delay, or perhaps an octave down pedal to the pickup signal only and leave the mic signal dry. And the various routing options for the different outputs give you lots of flexibility when it comes to sending your signal to different sources. You could send a pickup and a mic to the front of a house, but only send the pickup to an on-stage amp or the monitor engineer, or send 2 instruments to separate channels on the desk, but send them both to an amplifier on stage. It would be impossible to review every single aspect of the Felix 2 without this review becoming hours long, but I think it's obvious that Grace Design have really put a lot of time into thinking about all the possible situations an acoustic player might find themselves in, and to finding solutions that work really well to ensure your amplification needs are met in those situations. At £1,125, this is not a cheap piece of kit, and I'll admit to being reluctant to spend that amount of money on a preamp when I purchased my own Felix. But since purchasing it, I have used that preamp on every single plugged-in gig I've done, and it's not once let me down, so I can certainly see it becoming a lifetime piece of gear. The build quality, sound quality and flexibility of the Felix 2 is unparalleled as far as I can tell, and so yes, it might be a big ticket purchase, but I honestly do think it is worth every penny if you truly want the best you can buy. With a set of well thought out and considered new features, the Felix 2 takes the already excellent first generation Felix and improves it. Of course, the Felix 2 is not for everybody. The price is one obstacle, and the everything and the kitchen sink set of features might be overkill if you're running a single guitar with a pickup system that doesn't require the glut of EQ and routing options that the Felix 2 provides. But if you want excellent build quality, excellent sound quality, excellent functionality, and you want to run a dual source system or 2 instruments through a preamp that will likely never become redundant, then the Felix2 from Grace Design is almost certainly the best dual channel preamp for acoustic instruments available today. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Acoustic Review. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be kept up to date when we post new videos, and I look forward to seeing you next time.